Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Wednesday show on the Minions Zoo channel. I'm Hammer, and I'm joined by two of my favorite Minions hosts, Genty Maxi.
Hello.
And Terry Dementis.
Hello.
How you doing, Terry?
Pretty good. How about you?
I am well. I'm not going to go into an issue I had today. I'm just going to let it go. Got to let it go. How you doing, Jen?
I'm good. I'm not on that end of Canada. So I couldn't really save you from the smoke, but I gave you guys a heads up like almost a couple weeks ago.
It's really not
like,
Jen's
hey,
fault. I'm being in lockdown again. First China, now Canada. I'm really getting sick of these countries imposing their will upon us.
Wait until they start telling you to bring back those masks that you've been leaving in your cupboard for like the last 2 years that you didn't want to use. Because legitimately, they're like, it'll help you with the smoke. I'm like, yeah, if you dank that in water, maybe.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the particles in the air are probably bigger than an N95 mask. The N95 should keep at least some of them away from you. Much better than they did the virus. Ooh, we're going to get canceled.
Yeah. We'll be Rumble only for another couple of weeks if you get down this line of thinking.
Well, I'm going to go to the doctor's on Friday, so I'm going to wear a mask just out. I'll wear a mask outside and then take it off when I go in. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. It actually makes sense now. Before we get into the topics, go ahead and see who's in chat. I had to move my chat screens around, so hopefully this will be a little bit easier.
I think you should go in wearing a hockey mask and just like, hey, it's a mask.
It's a mask. Don't give me any shit. It's a mask. You want me to wear a mask? I'm wearing a mask. On Rumble, Cynic was first person, and here right behind him, Kiverdam. Hi, sweetie. Scrolling. Going past a lot of Kiverdams. Dave Blizza, 427. Ochi Costin, Cannibalistic Wizard. Welcome, everybody. Is that everybody on? As long as Jack's not there. Oh, he spoke too soon. Jackson on Rumble, so we're gonna have to shut the stream.
Come back 1 year.
And I think that's everybody on Rumble. Let's take a look at YouTube. First person on YouTube was Jen, but besides Jen was Mr. Adam. Was our Sunday show host or Monday show? Monday show. I get it mixed up. JB is on. Mash, how you doing, Mash?
Hi, Mash.
And I think, yep, that's everybody on YouTube. People will, of course, be filtering in as the night goes. Let me go over the, or maybe just not go over, but explain at least the. I try to be clever, but everyone's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Well, I think burning Canadia, gotta say that right. I think we all know what that's all about. Wildfires rage across Ontario, Quebec, and they try to kill Pennsylvanians. The second topic is Twitucker. Fuck. Tucker Carlson issues episode 1 on Twitter. Fox News sends a breach of contract notice to him, which just happened today. So that's latest news. His stream is close to 60 million views and 150,000 retweets.
That seems pretty decent. I think he's doing all right.
More views than a week on CNN. And then finally, in one show, he beat their entire week. And there's more on that because we have to talk about The View. Gassy is Biden's war on natural gas. You've heard that he's trying to get rid of gas stoves. Well, guess what? Now he's trying to get rid of gas heating furnaces too. So then
he's going to get rid of Taco Bell because of all the gas that provides.
They won the franchise wars. The deal with getting rid of gas is that it is an energy source that is a leader on the market if you want to make money. So if you export gas, it's almost as good as exporting oil. So by keeping us from using it is going to lead to keeping us from producing it. So we're really kneecapping ourselves economically by doing this. So
Well, I think that's Biden's plan.
Yes. So I did mention that that there's an issue with The View. I don't know if you guys have caught this, but you know what The View is. It's Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg,
Yes.
Sonny Hostin, and
Yeah,
Sonny Hostin and Sarah Haynes, and then they have like guests. They have
Yes.
on top of that come in and do like a couple shows or a week or whatever. The View will not be returning for the 2024 season.
Wow.
Yeah, Goldberg notoriously celebrated Tucker Carlson's ouster from Fox News lineup, and is now fired from her job.
Cool.
Yeah, where he still works for Fox but doesn't have a show. She does not have a show and doesn't work for them anymore.
Is that why they did the breach of contract? If he's still technically working for Fox?
Yeah, I think they're trying to scare him. I think this is a non-issue, to be honest with you, because
I'm sure Tucker would have run it by lawyers before he did anything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Quite sure he's not just, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to do a Twitter stream. No. There was planning, and
he is on his own private channel speaking on Twitter.
Yeah.
How were you not allowed to do that?
Exactly.
In what way can you possibly be told, no, you're not allowed to talk on a platform that we aren't on? Yeah. How dare you talk on a platform that we don't support? I'm frustrated already.
No, I did watch the episode. I mean, basically just talking about Ukraine and Russia, and Zelensky's not the angel that people like to paint him as. And, like, Putin doesn't wake up and think, how can I be evil today?
I thought it was pretty funny when he said that.
See, I was watching a lot of the one with Scott Moe pretty much owning Sonny on a bunch of the economics, and
heard that, didn't watch it. I heard of it.
Yeah, they were not wanting to let him talk. It was very ironic. But not
is it really? Is it really? They don't want to hear him talking. It's not ironic. It's actually very much on target for them. So,
like, every time he's about to get to a point, they're like, "No, we gotta go to break. We got sorry. See, it's time for break."
Yeah.
Fucking bitch.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, YouTube.
I just said fuck twice, so don't worry about it.
You know what? In all honesty, maybe retirement will give them some time to think about why things have gone so wrong for some people on that panel. Probably not, but maybe.
Well, they're getting rid of the show. They're not recasting it. So that's how much they don't want it anymore. And the reason they gave was it's left-leaning bias. That's the reason why they canceled it. Yeah. They admitted to it. So being left-leaning isn't as great as it used to be. People are starting to get pissed. I mean,
starting to fight back.
Yep. People are starting to fight back. You look at what's going on with, it started with Bud Light, Target, people are now, look at all those places that used to run Twitter icons for the entire month of Pride that ran it for one day now.
See, I've got my conspiracy theory. People say that the backlash against Target is because of the kids LGBT clothing line. I know the truth. It is actually because they wouldn't give David Levitt the toothbrush for 1 penny like he demanded. People are still upset about that.
He's definitely still upset about it. That's for sure.
He is.
For people who don't know, he went into a Target and it was unmarked. Was it unmarked, right?
So the display model had a price tag of 1 penny. So he took that to the counter, demanded that he be given an actual electric toothbrush for 1 penny because the display model had that price on it. And then Tori from Target, as she became known, was just like rolling her eyes saying, no, we're not going to do that. Go away, you idiot.
Yeah. I've kind of done that. I've gone to a register and put something down, and they scan it, and the number on the package didn't match what they scanned. And they just said, "Oh, we'll match what's on the package." You know, so
yeah, I mean, most of the time they will.
that's reasonable. Yeah.
But if it's a clear
A penny?
Yeah, if it's an electric toothbrush for 1 penny, then obviously that's not the real price. Like anyone with any common sense would understand that.
Yeah. And the other thing is, there's still a markup to be had there, even if it's it's 35 cents cheaper on the package. Well, they're still making $2.50 off of it, so they don't care if they're dropping 15 cents. But for a penny, they're basically giving you it for free. That's you're being a thief at that point. So
no, I remember one time I was at the video game shop, and they had those like guides, like official guides to games. And I saw one for $2, and I was like, this price tag's wrong, isn't it? And they go, no, it's not. And it turns out that because only I forget who, one company was allowed to sell the game, they were just trying to get rid of all the excess stock for the guide, because it's like, well, what good is it to us anyway? So my brain was like, okay, this price is wrong. You don't sell what's usually a $30 product for $2. So I asked. I wasn't just, I demand you give me this for $2, because it's like, are you sure this is the right price?
Sometimes you have to be careful with that from the get-go, and it's because some people get a little bit clever with how they go about stealing things. And it really depends on the store that you're at. Like one of the stores that I worked at, one of their flaws was their return policy. So people would take tags and then they would switch out the tag. You couldn't always prove that. You didn't always need to have a receipt. And what they would do is they would let you do an exchange. So you could exchange it, or you could exchange it for like a gift card. So you could use it to repurchase something else. You would have thieves who would absolutely switch out tags, and they would do it on purpose, because sometimes it was a $5 difference and management wouldn't care. They're like, it's $5. But sometimes it was a difference of like $20-$30, and you're like, no, you're stealing.
I like Terry in chat is saying that I have a sense of honor, so much so that I got one of the cashiers pissed off with me because I pointed out that they gave me too much change, and they were mad because they had to get the supervisor to open the till, and they got in trouble. And the manager was like, "Oh, thank you for letting us know," and gave me discount coupons and stuff. But the actual cashier was like, "Why didn't you just keep the money, you bastard?" You could see in his face, he was not happy with me that I.
That's so silly. I would have just kept it on the side until the next person came.
Right.
The till's going to open up again.
So not only were they wrong, but they were stupid too.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have still owned it with the management, just been like, hey, I gave them the wrong change.
Yeah.
You fluff sometimes, but you just keep it on the side. It's not a big deal.
But what it was the thing came to $12. I gave him a $20 note. He gave me $12 change.
Wow.
And then I walked away, and no, wait, this is too much. I think it's because I walked away and came back, so we had to open the till again. I think that's what upset him, because if it had been right then and there, he could have just given me the right amount and not have to let anyone know. But me coming back and actually, no, you've given me too much change. That upset him.
Was there somebody in line after you?
No.
Oh, all right. See, if somebody was in line after you, then he would have had to open the till again. He could have just said, hang on a second, let me ring this person up. When the drawer opens, I'll give you your change. But there was nobody after him. So that's what I would have done.
Even the shop was empty. Almost empty. So.
Yeah, it's just even still, though, that eventually your till's going to be open. You just own it with the management because you fluffed. You're lucky. He got lucky because that would have made him short afloat by probably enough to maybe get him a write-off. Some stores are like that. If they will give you a little leniency between $4.50 and depending on the store, maybe a little bit more, but not by much. Maybe $8. but he would have been short enough to get him a write-up. So you did save him from being written up in the first place.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
it's
I'm not going to steal $4. Like,
no.
it's not worth it to me to be like, haha, I got $4 extra out of this place. It's like, no, look, dude, you gave me too much money. You can have the $4 back.
Yeah, some people I think stress the big things because they don't want to hear that they got it wrong, and it's like, no, you could be tired and just fluff. You know, because that looked like a backwards thing.
I worked in the change box at a club, and like, yeah, sometimes you make a mistake and you give too much change, and then at the end of the night you balance and you're like, oh, there's $20 missing. Like, ah, shit.
Yeah, dig into your pocket.
Yeah,
basically, yeah.
But it's easy sometimes when you're tired to get the numbers backwards too. Like that's why they're supposed to. You really have to kind of keep yourself hydrated somehow. Like I used to. So you're not really supposed to have gum or anything like that, but like I'd have little candies if I could get away with it, something that I can dissolve real quick. And it's just.
It's funny the people trying to like trick you, like they'd give you a cup full of dollar coins, but in there would be like 2 or 3 10-cent pieces, and because what you do is you just tip it onto the scale, and it's like, okay, this is, you know, x dollars worth of coins, so they're hoping that you'll just like accept it, but no, there's silver in there. What's that? It's like, oh no, you put some 10-cent pieces in here. Sorry. And then sorry. Here's yeah, I'm sure it was a mistake.
They'll blame it on the kids. But they did it on purpose.
I do blame it on the kids, but I don't think they do it on purpose. And I blame it on the fact that our school system up here, I could tell things were going wrong. My province has a 5-cent tax for food that's not necessary. So if you're buying 5-cent candies and you have enough to buy $1, it's $1.05. That's what 5% tax is.
Yeah.
So you'd have to explain to kids, you know, like, yeah, you know, you've got 5-cent candies. How many of those do you need to make $1? And they'd have to count it out, and then be like, yeah, you got 5 cents on that. I mean, I always kept a little bit of extra change for the ones that I knew were learning math in high school. These were high school kids.
That's kind of sad.
So, yeah. And the ones who got it right, I was like, you know what? You're cool. And some of them ended up being the kids that would clean up after their friends. So I would let them have a free Slurpee too. I got permission from my boss. I was like, that one's responsible. We need to emphasize that he stays that way.
That's something that foreigners have a problem with the States. And I'm kind of on board with that. Not so much the metric system, but the fact that we put taxes on after the shelf price is listed.
That seems insane to me.
Most foreigners feel the same way you do. And I say foreigners as in non-U.S. residents.
If I pick up a product and it says $20 as the price, then I'm thinking, okay, this costs $20. If they scan it and then they say, okay, that'll be, $23.50 or however much tax is, I don't know what it is in America. I'm like, no, it says 20. Like, I would correct them because I think they made a mistake.
You have to look at the little. No. You have to look at the price and look at the bottom right corner of the price in real small letters. It says plus tax.
Yeah, but to me, because that is such an alien concept to me, like I think no, sorry, it says 20, not 23.50.
I'm on board with you.
They explain, oh no, plus the tax. It's like, oh, so how do you know how much the tax is? Like, is that written on the price tag anywhere?
Taxes by state. So if you live in a state, then you know what your tax is. It's 6.5% in Pennsylvania. I know what Pennsylvania is. New Jersey is 5%. New York is 7.5%, I think.
So it's
Delaware is 7%. Just being in the area.
Learn growing up what the tax rate is. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I'm like I said, I'm definitely on board with you. I think tax should be, and it would be almost impossible to include tax properly beforehand, because you get percentages and you start getting numbers that are off by a little bit here, a little bit there, depending on what you're taxing. Some things are taxed, some things are not taxed, so it can get complicated, but I think we could, we're pretty smart people. We can probably learn to do it the right way.
Yeah, no, but like in Australia, we introduced the GST, which is basically a 10% tax on all goods and services. And so all they did was they raised the sticker price by 10% too. Like they didn't say $1 plus GST. They said $1.10 including GST, because they know that people are going to get pissed off if they get to the counter and it's like, okay, this $20 product actually costs $22. What do you mean you don't have $2 on you? It's like, well, I picked it up thinking it was $20. What are you charging me $2 extra for?
Yeah, you're not the only one. I see this on all the other channels that are like, I lived in America for a year and these are the things I hate, you know?
Mm.
You know,
No, I would hate that too.
Yeah. No, I mean, like Diane Jennings, Irish girl. You know, things that are great about America, things that are great about Ireland, and blah 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 blah. You know the typical content kind of deal. And that's that was like the first thing on our list above everything else. You know, like their taxes are bullshit. I was like, yeah, you're right. And really, if we had a chance to change something, that's something we should probably, that and daylight savings time are two things that are definitely got to go.
So the stream ender Incarnate over on Rumble says, no, we should keep that system. We need the people to know they're being taxed. I mean, okay, but I mean, you could just put, $22 including tax. You don't have to put $20 and then ambush them with an extra $2 when you get to the counter. I mean,
we do that here. Like we put the price and then in little writing, it says plus tax, especially if it's pop or like drinks, because we have a system where if you're buying something that's a returnable, like a can or like a milk jug, you can get money back for that. I don't think they do that in Ontario. I think they only limit that to like liquor packaging, but you get a certain percent back, like 10%, like 10 cents or 25 cents, depending on what the bottle is.
Mm-hmm.
But we get a little bit extra tax on that. So they have to write that somewhere because they got in trouble for not listing it.
Well, Terry's the outlier here because Terry has 10% tax across all states. Yeah. Here, our states all vary, and so do all the provinces.
The GST is federal. The GST is federal. That is a flat 10% across the entire country.
Do you still have state taxes?
I don't know if there's any differences in the state taxes, but I don't think there's a state sales tax. But I'll be honest, maybe there is. And either way, it's included in the sticker price. That's so if I pick up a thing, it'll cost what it says on the price tag. I won't have to. Okay, what's 6.5% of $23? Like, I don't have to worry about it. It'll cost what it says on the price tag.
I agree with you on that, but Keywordam said in YouTube chat, taxes and tips got to go. Taxes, depending on the tax, I agree. Like income tax, got to go.
Yes.
The tax for when someone dies, there's an estate tax, I think
inheritance
it's called.
Tax or estate tax, whatever.
Estate tax, that's got to go. So sure, I agree there. The last thing you want to do is be paying taxes when you just had a death in your family. That's the worst thing possible. But as far as tips, I don't know if I can agree. I agree with a lot of what Keywordam says because she makes a lot of good sense. But if you look at how you're served in other countries that don't have tips and look at how you're served in America that does, you are treated much better in America.
I think tips only work if they're not mandatory. Like if you are shunned for not tipping and like you're basically told you have to tip, then it stops working as an incentive because
they're going to get it no matter what,
money regardless of your service.
Yeah. Well, here you're expected to tip, but how much you tip is a different story.
Like in Australia, you're welcome to tip. Like it's not prohibited. It's just it's not expected. So if someone does do an excellent job, you can say, you know what, have an extra $5 or $10 or whatever you want to give them.
Wow.
But I mean, you don't have to. There's no expectation that. Well, no, I delivered a pizza. You should give me money beyond the price of the pizza.
Yeah.
Like, well, no, the pizza place charged me a delivery fee. Take it up with them. They're the ones hiring you, not me.
When you go out to a restaurant in the States, you're expected to give probably 10 to 15%. That's an average tip. But if I go somewhere that the food's good, the service is great, everything's a pleasant experience, I'll tip 30%. And they know that. The people who are waiting on your tables know that if they do a good job, especially in a restaurant, in that atmosphere, if they do a particularly good job, there's a really good chance they're going to get a good tip. So they're nice to you. You don't see that in France or Belgium or, name your location. That changes because there's no incentive.
Yeah.
So I'm on board with tipping. I think it's a good thing.
See, like I said, I think tipping works as long as you have the option to not tip. There's no social pressure to tip. If it was just, you know what, you've done an awesome job, have some extra money, and then people know that they can get extra money for doing a good job, that'll work. But if it's like, well, I will do a mediocre job because you have to tip anyway, then like I don't see where the incentive would come from. Like if tipping is you have to do this, then it's like, well, that's just part of the price at that point.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with Terry, but I don't know if this is true about the US. Like, don't you have states where it's like a certain percent?
No.
If it is, no? Okay. So
you have sales tax but that has nothing to do with tipping.
Okay, yeah. So for up here, yeah, like I kind of agree with Terry on that one because we do have a culture where we will tip over on the western end of Canada. Quebec doesn't tip at all. They do believe that the job that hires you should be paying you the right amount to survive. Like you should be needing tips. But for us, it's usually a percent. But in all honesty, if you don't want to leave a tip because you thought the person gave you poor service, you don't have to. And you can say that. You can be like, hey, you know what? This person didn't give me good service. So
no, I think even average service does not deserve a tip. I think if you've got an excellent service and you feel, you know what, you did such a good job, I want to give you some extra money, then yeah, go ahead and do that. But I don't think run-of-the-mill adequate service warrants any tip at all. That's what they're paid to do. That's their job.
I also like to give those tips to people who are return guys, like especially if they were actually pretty good. Like that's when you really want to give someone a tip because that's the guy who's going to come back next time. He's like, you know what? That guy appreciated my extra effort, so I'll take on those tasks.
If someone does a good job and you want to reward that, I've got no problem with tipping.
Yeah.
It's the demand, well, you have to tip. Well, okay, at that point, it's not a tip. It's the price.
Yep. You get kind of used to it, being in America.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. But I'm just saying that from the outside, that is not what a tip is. To me, a tip is a reward, not an expectation.
Right.
But I will say that because of the way the US works, where you have a lower minimum wage for tipped jobs, so the people actually need those tips. I mean, that's a very different situation. Like in Australia, everyone has the same minimum wage. So if you're like an Uber driver or whatever, it doesn't matter that much if no one tips you because you're getting the base wage that is like mandated by the government.
Yeah, that would. I don't know what I would do. I mean, like in Japan, you're not allowed to tip. It's like an insult. But I think if I went traveling, I would still tip people, even if it's not a thing, because it's just natural for me to do that, and it's not going to hurt them. They're not going to go, oh, extra money, I'll take it. Except if you're in Japan, then they're going to be pissed at you.
And
I oftentimes wonder if they would accept a gift, though, like not money, but like a gift.
I mean, that's probably a gray area. I think the idea is that it's insulting to offer. Like, I don't think it's bad that you're giving them money specifically. I think the idea is it's an insult to think that, I guess, that their employer is cheating them or something, that they're not being paid enough. I think that's the idea that's insulting, not money specifically. It's like, well, you need something extra. Oh no, it might even be, well, why wouldn't I do my best? Why do you feel the need to pay me for doing my best? I always do my best. I think maybe that's the source of the insult. So if you're offering them any kind of additional reward, I could maybe see an argument for why they'd be insulted.
Mhm.
I personally wouldn't. If you want to give me a reward for a good job, I'll just say thank you and take it. But
see, that's why I kind of thought the gift idea, because one of the things I do know about Japan is they do accept gifts when you're showing appreciation to, like, as a guest or to like a boss. So I always just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna raid something like a dollar store, get a bunch of maple syrup, and just be like, you know what, I really enjoyed the experience I had because of you. So this is my gift as an appreciation, because, you know, for a few seconds I thought this was like a friendship. Like, it isn't, because it's an exchange for money. But I kind of like the idea of bringing a gift instead.
It's a Gunsky in Rumble chat. This I do agree with. He says, if you made tax withholding illegal, 90% of taxes would disappear overnight because the working poor of America would know how much they were getting screwed. If people realized how much they were paying in tax, I think there would be an outcry. A lot of the taxes are definitely hidden from people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't feel so bad because Pennsylvania's was 6% for the longest time, years and years and years. And then they moved to 6.5%. And that's been sitting at 6.5 for years and years and years. People I feel bad for, like California, I think they're paying like 8 or 9% tax. They're just getting their asses ripped out. So
yeah.
Another reason.
California sucks. I mean, if you're in California, you kind of deserve what you get.
The only thing great about California is the weather. That's it. Nothing else. There's nothing else. Even the weather, to some extent, they got a lot of wildfires. They have earthquakes. Yeah. So if you consider those weather and not, events, just regular weather, yeah, even that sucks. So I've been there. When I was there, I was in the summer. It was beautiful. Just about every day was sunny. There was a couple of cloudy days, no rain. And it was just fantastic. And the air was crisp. I was near the ocean. It was beautiful. But I would never live there. No way.
No.
Especially now. It's even worse since I was there.
I don't want to have to avoid shit on the street. I'll pass on that.
Yeah, I was there 10 years ago, back when it was a nice place, or nicer place to live. And I wasn't actually in any big city. I wasn't like in LA or San Francisco. Where was I? I was in Redondo Beach. I mean, it even sounds kind of pretty and classy. Redondo Beach.
I'm trying to think when I was in California for a holiday. It's like 20 years ago now. Jeez, it's been ages.
Wow.
It's crazy to think that much time has passed. But yeah, it's got to be like 20 years.
I got to start saving up money and putting together a travel budget. Because I'm getting old enough now that if I don't start doing some traveling, I'm never going to get there. I feel good. So now is the time, So I think that may be my 2020 year resolution, that by 2024 I have a little pot of gold so I can go around and start visiting places. I really want to get to Scotland.
I'm the wrong kind of person. I'm the wrong kind of person to do traveling, because unless I'm there to meet a person or people, I don't really see the point of it. Like, I went to Italy, I went to France. It's like, okay, cool. But the things I have memories of is like when I went to England to meet my friends and I hung out with my friends for the weekend. Like, that was good. That was worth my time. But going to Italy just to say, that Colosseum that you've seen pictures of, it looks like that in real life too. It's like, yeah, I know.
You're not impressed by the world's natural beauty, huh?
Not really, no.
I've never been anywhere outside the United States except for Canada. That's the only place I've been to. So I feel like I'm missing out. And I don't really go online and look at, pictures of remote locations. So I don't know what Hawaii looks like. I don't know what Ireland. I never been. I don't look. I don't know. But I know it's, from what everyone's telling me, it's different. So I want to see that difference. And granted, I can sit here behind a TV screen and look at it, but it's not going to be the same. I want to go there.
See, I think that's the difference. For me, it is. There's I went to the Colosseums, like, yeah, looks like the pictures. Cool.
It's got to be the experiences. I want to go to a true blue Irish pub and sit down
Yeah.
and have a pint and listen to people around me talk.
I think the thing I got the most out of was probably the food, where like you go to France and you eat the snails, and it's like, okay, that makes sense to me. Like I can probably get escargot in Australia, to be honest, but it makes sense that, okay, that's why I came to France, is like to try weird food, or to go to Italy and have like actual Italian pizza as opposed to the, Pizza Hut version of pizza, which is very different. I can understand like that, and that I got something out of. But like, just, hey, you want to go see the Grand Canyon? No, I've seen holes before.
It's a hole in the ground. Wow.
Yeah.
Keyword says in chat.
No, but this hole is really big. Okay.
A really big hole.
Big hole too.
That doesn't sound right. Keyword M says in chat, I want to go to Canadia next. In all honesty, Canadia is America's top hat, and I've been to certain parts of Canadia, and I'd like to see more of Canadia. But for as kind of a, it's cold and wet and all that kind of stuff that you hear about Canadia, and I went at the worst possible time. I went when it was coldest and wettest. It's still a great place to go, even that even though the time I went was a bad time, and it has kind of a negative flavor to it. What makes Canadia great, and Jen's gonna laugh at me, but it's the people. It's not that whole thing where people say, "Oh, Canadians are so polite," blah 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 blah. It's actually true. They really are. Strangers, maybe not people, that you work with or something like that, this kind of relationships. But if you're just talking to a stranger, they are the nicest fucking people on the planet. They really are. Well, I can talk from experience. I'm an American,
I'm assuming that they only hate Americans because when I went to France, like everyone says the French are really rude. It's like, they weren't to me.
Well, you're Australian. They're rude to Americans. They hate Americans. Australians are great.
I think they just hate Americans because they did not earn their reputation for rudeness in the slightest when I went to France.
Yeah.
I don't hate Americans. I just find that not overall. It's just there's a certain breed of American that when they meet a Canadian, it's really
okay. You can say Jack Gunsky by name.
No, Jack isn't one of them. Jack isn't one of them. It's just you meet some Americans and I think they just don't think Canadians are real. Like they know we are. We're talking to them.
I don't know if I can deny that.
But it's the concept of how we think. Just that American just doesn't understand that we can exist the way that we do. And it's just oddly enough, like you can meet people up here who, in all honesty, could be just as miserable as you are in the US. But we just shrug it off because it's like, well, I guess I got to deal with this today. And then you do.
Yeah. I don't think Canadians hate Americans because there's so much cooperation between us economically and everything, even to some extent politically. And they know that no one's going to ever bother us. And you're right next door. So no one's ever going to bother you. And there's a certain amount of respect back and forth between the two of us. We're both democratic states,
I think America and Canada is kind of like Australia and New Zealand, where there's a friendly rivalry. We don't actually hate each other. We just pretend to do because it's fun.
It's also something that one of the Rebel guests put really well. And he was from one of the farming communities, which does actually make a really good portion of Canada. A lot of farming community people, and the US knows this too, you work for a living. You work all day. You really don't have time for that kind of stuff. Like you really don't have time to be sitting there going, oh, how can I fuck over the US today? You don't have time for that. You have time for your animals or whatever it is that whatever you're growing, whatever it is that you're drawing, they're working. So the people who are doing that really are the bougie rich people who have nothing better to do than to cause misery for other people because they have no other happiness in their own lives. They should get a hobby is what they should do, or get another job instead of mooching off of people like their parents. it is a problem up here. You guys have it too. Both of you do, just in different varieties of it. And they're not wrong. Like most of the places where you see this kind of stuff cropping up, like even in my province, Edmonton is our pig problem. Like they're our orange in the middle of a blue province. And my city's a mild tangerine that's going to turn blue again because they keep moving back to Edmonton. And it's, yeah, I did hear this little clip that was found on Twitter of a teacher berating a bunch of Muslim students because they didn't want to go to the Pride Parade, basically telling them that they weren't welcome in Canada if they weren't willing to eat the trans LGBTQS++, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You know, if you're not willing to live for these people too, then you have no right for us to show respect to you for your issues, blah, blah, blah. It was heinous, you know, and it is getting like that up here. Like I started making more jokes about, this is actually an old rumor. This is city rivalry jokes about Edmonton having a fluoride problem. And I was like, that makes sense. They've turned the frogs gay. You know, like this month, they were posting pictures of their Edmonton news clips because they're upset that they can't have a naked bicycle race. And I'm like, seriously? That's what goes on up there? Canada has a lot of issues that we don't mention because you guys meet the nice people that are still normal. But this explosion's just kind of gone out of sync with everybody. And yeah, I'm sorry, Trudeau, you can't cover it up with the fires. You're not going to cover it up with fires. That's just making more people mad.
I've been kind of watching the debates when I get a chance in Canadia and Polivier. That's how you pronounce his last name, right? Polivier.
Polivier. I'm not French. There's a certain way to say it, and I'm never going to get it. But yeah, but he's from Alberta. He's used to people butchering his last name.
He's very Polivier was close enough.
He's very good.
Yeah,
I'm watching him poke back and forth with Trudeau, and Trudeau is definitely on his heels.
He is trying to poke him. Yeah, he's trying to poke him enough to get him to snap as much as he can. Like he's absolutely kind of catching on to the fact that the guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and he's easy to get riled up because of it. He's also still hiding from the inquiry.
Right.
Like he will never own up to this stuff. He's got his hands into so many things. I honestly wish that more people who were conservative would just move to Saskatchewan and Alberta, because I don't know how far this stuff is going to go. But I know that the NDP are exactly as silly as I think they are. Like, I legitimately do think that kids just move back to Edmonton because they're afraid of the conservatives in Calgary. And I'm like, we don't hate gay people. Every time I saw a gay flag, I was like, I wonder if I could insert gays against groomers on this flag. Yeah, I could. Because I do support gay people. Just not you.
So you're suggesting balkanization? Because I've heard that floated in the U.S. I'm just interested to see if that's what's happening in Canada.
I think people should just try heterosexuality. I think they'll like it.
I did see that, Jack. So one of the things that I want you guys to know is the allegations that he's hedging towards, those are still rumors. Like the sites where they're taking them from, one of them is a spoof site. So you can't take them as anything more than a grain of salt. And anything else, it's just stuff that they can't really prove because it was settled out of court. And the woman who made the claim doesn't want to talk about it. So there's nothing they can really do there. But I do get why he did it, because the guy has so many things attached to his name that even something as silly as a little rumor is just believable, because he's never been held accountable for anything on the list, the rap sheet that he has in his time as prime minister. And for some reason, we have enough people who are boistering him to keep him up that, yeah, how can you not say that there wasn't an election interference or that there's not interference in our government? It's just, it's why I don't want to delete my post on Twitter. Like, I will go another week, and if I don't get my stuff back in a week, I'll delete it and just be like, hey, so much for that free speech. But this guy is terrifying. He's terrifying with power, but it's not just him. He's just one guy who you could easily get riled up. Pierre's doing it over and over again and enjoying himself. But it's the other people behind him that are actually equally as scary.
When does your election happen? When is it possible that Trudeau can be ousted?
So he would have to launch something if we wanted it earlier.
Okay.
But I believe he still has 2.5 years. Don't quote me on that. It could just be 2, but it's long enough that he's going to try to hold on for as long as possible. And the only way to get him out would be for the NDP leader to actually do something, be worth his while. He looks like he is holding on for his pension.
Let me ask you guys a question. The front runners for the Republicans and Democrats have Biden and Kennedy, I guess, be the number 2 pick. And then on the Republican side, you have Trump and DeSantis.
Mm-hmm.
From the perspective of your country, not your personal preference, but of those 4 people, who do you think would be best for your country? In other words, your country's going to have to interact with these people.
So I'm not really sure in that regard. So one of the things that I will say is we probably do have a little bit more of a gay community than you guys do. That doesn't necessarily mean they have that much sway. They don't. It does have to do with family members and friends. So one of the things that I will throw a little bit towards Ron DeSantis is that a lot of the people who we know as trans are a little bit concerned with how far he's taking some of what he's doing. I actually agree with Ron DeSantis on a lot of what he's doing. Like anything to do with kids, I agree with. Somebody who's like 21 or 22 who wants to do what they want with their body, I only disagree if they haven't gone through the system properly. Because I do agree that I do think there's malpractice everywhere. Mm-hmm. So to emphasize not having malpractice, I do believe in laws that just discourages that. But if somebody who is like of the age of 22 has gone through that system, is paying for it themselves, I am liberal enough to not want to tell them what to do. It's just, I don't want to encourage it either, because I don't think that's how you solve a situation. Like, I think those are the situations where that person is extreme enough or they're set in what they want to do. But if they're that way, they need to know every consequence that comes with it. That is part of it too. They need to understand everything that they are doing, so that, because that's part of why people are saying no. Like, it's being promoted everywhere with such a lack of clear understanding that there are a lot of people that I think have gotten into this who 10 years from now are going to realize exactly how fucked over they were. And I want nothing to do with that lawsuit. Thank you very much. Nothing.
I put a comment in YouTube and YouTube ate it, and I can't really repeat it on stream, but I basically said Canada is full of figs, Genty Maxi 2023. I didn't use the I used an A. But
there are. I I grew up knowing my fair share of people who were from the LGBT. But I
yours is a
think
nicer way of saying it.
but I just think both sides are preying upon them. So I'm saying this on behalf of people that I know I'm friends with. Like, I don't want to deny them treatment that they actually think that they need or methods that they think work for them. I'm just about responsibility when it comes to that kind of stuff, especially when it comes to mental health. Because anything that you do that affects your body will affect your mental health down the line. It does.
Yeah.
But doing anything like that with kids, like, it's so creepy up here with it. It is just, you don't want to. I wouldn't want to have kids right now. Like, I do because I'm old, but at the same time, like, no, I don't want them near that school system. And I don't know enough people to teach my kids that I'm it's not right.
Yeah, I think my only issue with the whole transition thing is it's sold as if it's going to solve every single problem that they're having, and it's really not.
Yeah.
If they were just honest and said, okay, here's the risks, here's the consequences, here's like the long term maintenance you're gonna have to keep up to do this. Here's here's the positive sides as well. Like, don't just tell them the bad. Just like, here's all the good, here's all the bad. We'll leave it to you, but we want you to have an informed decision. If that was the situation, I'd have no problem with it.
Yes.
But they frame it as, hey, are you a little bit sad? Guess what? We can fix that by transitioning you today. And it's like, no. Don't do that. Don't try and trick people into it.
And that's what I mean. Like, it is so much malpractice that, like, yeah, they need to have some laws in place to clip that, because it's just going to end up with so many more problems for people. And a lot of people are going to be really hurt. They already are. Like, the people coming out as detransitioners who are screwed, I'll always feel some sympathy for them. Like, yes, they got themselves into it to a certain degree. You do have some degree of responsibility to it, but at the same time, though, I wouldn't wish that on anybody either.
So let me ask a question real quick. The 4 people who are running for office in the United States, which one of those 4 for your country do you think would be best to interact with your country if you had to pick one name?
I've got no idea. I don't know.
Well, you know who Trump is.
Yeah,
right? You know who. Good.
But if we're talking on a personal level, I can answer. If we're talking on a national level, as in what's best for Australia, I don't know. that is over my head. I don't know the national, like, the international consequences of one choice over the other. I can tell you who I like. But
okay, we'll go with that. Who's your personal preference then?
Out of those 4, Ron DeSantis.
DeSantis, really? Okay. All right, Jen, personal preference?
So if yeah, like with Ron DeSantis, like I said, like I'd like to lean his way a little bit more than Trump. Not because I don't like Trump. If Trump could get like Scott Moe or somebody like him as his second in hand, I don't have a problem with him, because he does have enough of a temperament to take on big leaders. But Ron DeSantis is a little bit more. He's a little bit more political. You know. It's a weird tie.
I mean, for me, Trump has one of the same problems as Biden, which is he's just so old. Like, I don't know that we want. What's he going to be, like 80 soon? Is he?
He's young. Yeah, he's younger than Biden.
Yeah, but not by enough. Is my point.
No,
he's still old. He's still a very old man.
I think Trump has something different there, though, that Trump is still vital.
He's not senile the way Biden is, but he is still very old. And I think there's no reason why the president should be like 75 plus. I think a 50-year-old president makes a lot more sense than an
Yeah.
approaching 80-year-old one.
It projects a vitality to everybody else.
Yes,
When
exactly.
you have that's why JFK was probably as popular as he was, is because he was perceived as a very vital person, because he was very dynamic, very in shape, good looking guy kind of deal. All those things worked to his favor. So you both picked conservatives, or at least Republicans.
Mhm.
No chance for
Yeah,
the Democrats?
I
No.
don't. I don't remember who are
Jen,
the Democrats.
no.
I don't remember who you said for the Democrats. It was Biden and some other guy.
Kennedy.
Who's Kennedy? Which one?
Well, not obviously not John or
No,
Jack.
but
They're both dead, but I don't know what his first name is, to be honest with you.
Okay, because I don't know who he is. I have not heard enough about him.
Yeah, he's the number 2 guy. I don't really know anything about him either, to be honest with you. He's making some rumblings because he was definitely anti-gun in the past, and then he's spoken in several forums saying that he would have no intent to take away any guns, like he could. I mean, with the SCOTUS we have, and the Second Amendment well in place in the Constitution, he doesn't have any chance. Nobody does.
Yeah.
But
the guns aren't going anywhere.
that kind of bothers me, though, because he's saying that he wouldn't do it, which makes me not trust him, because somewhere in his mind he thinks it's possible. Robert F. There you go.
Okay,
Robert F. Kennedy. Camel's straight. First of all,
Okay, so
I forgot to mention this earlier. Hey, Frosted. Hey, Camel. I want to make sure I get everybody out there. But yeah, he anybody who says I'm not going to do something that they can't do, I'm suspicious.
That's kind of like me saying I'm not going to fly out the the bedroom window. It's like, yeah, I know you're not.
It's pretty obvious you can't. So
yeah, I don't know anything about this Kennedy guy, except I think I've heard that he's anti-vax. I think I've seen him talking about the vaccine in a.
He's anti-vax?
I might be confusing him with a different person whose last name was also Kennedy.
Okay. Yeah, I can't bring myself with what the Democrats have done with Biden the last 4. Even if they put up somebody I like if for as many flaws as she had, if the DNC decided that Tulsi Gabbard was going to be their pick, I can't put the Democrats in control for another 4 years. Even if they have a good candidate, I just can't do it. They need to be, personally, this is a personal opinion, they need to be punished for what they've done. That simple. So it's never going to be a Democrat, at least not this coming election. Maybe next election, somebody come up with somebody who's reasonable. We'll see. I'm going to be the anarchist that I am, and I'd say I'd rather have Trump in place, if nothing more than for the fucking lulz.
Oh yeah, no. Trump would be the most entertaining choice. There's no
my God. That would be so much fun. Watching the left just incinerate over this. Oh my God. Can you imagine if he gets, he's lame duck. It's a bad decision. It's bad all the way around. I don't particularly like him. I don't think he's going to do anything good because he's lame duck. He's only got 4. He can't do 8 years. He can only do 4 years. So it's a bad decision all the way around, but just to sit back and watch the left just lose it. Oh my God, that would be so much fun.
Hey, Camel has confirmed that the anti-vax guy that I was thinking of is in fact Robert F. Kennedy. So
okay, there you go. Well, that's a plus. Yes. I like him. I like him for that. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because we're a year and a half away, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny how.
I know Trump would do better for my province because less cutting off of gas line projects and.
Oh yeah! Did you see his town hall? He said, "Drill, baby, drill." He came right out and said it. I was like, "Yeah, you tell him."
So
Camel says he's voting for himself. That's effectively what I do. Because voting is mandatory in Australia, so I have to go. But voting is mandatory. Voting correctly is not. So I will just deliberately spoil the ballot and just like put a line through all the boxes, or make it clear that I'm not choosing anybody, and just put that in the ballot box.
Have you done that before?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
submitted a ballot that was blank, or
no, not blank, because they can fill that in with anything they want. I deliberately took a pen and put a line through all the boxes, because that way they can't put it through the scanner.
So you voted for nobody on purpose. That's what,
yes.
Okay. There really was nobody that you would want?
Well, you've got to remember, we don't have many choices down here. There's basically the Liberals, the Labour Party, and the Greens.
It's more than us.
No, but that is the left-wing party, the very left-wing party, and the extremely left-wing party. So I was like, no, I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that. So I deliberately spoiled the ballot so that it would be an invalid vote. Given the choice to stay home, I would have, but that is not an option unless I want to get a $20 to $50 fine, and I don't want to pay $50 to the government for the privilege of not voting. So I went and I voted for nobody.
How's that? How's that work in Canadia? Is it left wing, or is there a conservative that's useful, or what's the deal?
So how it is you've got Quebec, who's got the Bloc, which has nothing to do with the rest of Canada. That's specifically for Quebec. Then you have the Liberal Party, which, there's a Liberal Party. There's the NDP Party, which is Liberal Light. There's the Green Party, which is also Liberal Light, but more crazy. Then you have the Conservative Party. And every once in a while, you get the PP Party, which is Maxime Bernier, who's also conservative.
And
but
Viva,
he's
right?
Not really. Well, I don't know if he has his own thing yet. I know he was running with Bernier, so maybe he did do his own thing. But
what is Pierre?
Pierre is a conservative. He's our conservative. He's the conservative leader for the party. So for the federal party. We are a little bit stacked because of the three. Like Green can't do that much, but NDP has enough seats where, they can hold Trudeau up, which is what they've been doing. And the Bloc is kind of like, they'll do whatever they want. They'll fuck over both of us if they want to, because it's about Quebec. But a lot of times they'll lean with Liberals, because they will get certain things that they'd like you're no longer getting English on the back of packages in Quebec, which fair enough. I wouldn't give a shit, except for we still have to have French on the back of ours, assholes.
Yeah.
But, all the same, they get little things like that. So
are you going to admit to me that having less choices is better? You guys all got these extra choices. We don't. We get conservative or liberal. Take it as you see it. That's it.
It's not just the other choices. It's actually putting in the effort to make another party, because you do have the option of other, but other has never grown enough. Like independent has never grown enough to be a significant party. And that's part of it. Like you would have to get somebody to other enough to get their own party.
Yeah.
And even then, they're probably going to have a certain leaning. Like everybody does have more of a leaning one way or another, but it's what people are willing to tolerate. And that's kind of how you get some more of the middle ground people, because there's people who are like, okay, both sides are extreme. Can we get some middle ground? And then they realize that, well, I'm kind of a little bit more conservative, or I'm a little bit more liberal, but I'm a little bit more tolerable because I'm not insane with it.
Well, I think I'm kind of a little bit taken aback, a little stunned here that we're in a position with technically less choice, but we have, it actually ends up being kind of a good thing, at least for us. It turns out being a good thing, because I think if you were to put an independent party in place for us, that would just, you wouldn't gain anything by having an independent party, but you would lose from the other two parties.
It has been shown that humans are happier with fewer choices. Like if you have like
Yeah.
a red shirt or a blue shirt, and then people can pick whichever one they want. People will make their choice and generally be happy with it. If you've got 300 different colors for them to choose from, they'll pick one and then they'll think, oh, maybe I should have picked that other one, and
Right.
they'll not be as satisfied with their choice because there's too many options, and they can't feel comfortable with their decision because there's always like, oh, but that other one was also good. Like, whereas if it's, red or blue, black or white, and it's like they can make their choice and go, yeah, I'm pretty happy with what I picked.
Well, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I ran a poll tonight for our exit song.
I did. I even voted in it.
Yeah, and it seems like,
and I made sure not to. I made sure not to poison the well, as you said last week.
Did you fortify the results?
Well, the one I voted for did not win, so that's
wow. Okay, so you went against.
That's proof.
So yeah, the winner was Survivor's Eye of the Tiger, which was
yes.
mentioned by you last week. So
yes, because you wanted songs that are like very identifiable without the lyrics, and I think Eye of the Tiger definitely is.
Yeah, oh, it definitely is. There's nothing that starts off like that. I mean, short of like Freebird or something like that, but that's crazy popular. You guys have anything else, or you want to get out of here?
No, I'm good.
Nope, we're good.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and do that then. Thanks, fam, as always, for chatting with us tonight. If you can't wait for the next Wednesday show, remember that the Minions are live every evening, including weekends, with most shows starting at 11:30 p.m. Eastern, 7 days a week. Hosts and start times are listed in the description down below. Don't forget our pre-show on Rumble, which actually started 8:30 tonight, so it even started earlier than normal. You got a chance to say a lot of really cool things that you guys all missed out on.
It was an extra stream. It was an extra stream. It was a quick show.
It really was. That stream will usually start, somewhere around 8:40, but it really depends when my co-hosts stop by and when they're comfortable. I'll start up as soon as they're ready to go. So that's the deal there. Of course, we'll be back next Wednesday on YouTube at 9 p.m. as usual. I hope you guys enjoyed the show, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great night, everybody.
Have a good one.